What is up, everybody? Random Random Man here, bringing you my review for Nocturnal Animals. Based on the novel Tony and Susan, the plot basically follows an art gallery owner, played by Amy Adams, who is sent a manuscript in the mail by her ex-husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, which is a violent thriller that she reads and interprets as a veiled threat against her and as a symbolic revenge tale. Going into this movie, I was really intrigued by how it looked, the stacked cast that was involved, and how the movie was structured in its narrative style. The movie also had me interested with its writer and director. This movie is written and directed by Tom Ford. When I first heard that name attached to this movie, I was like, wait, the fashion designer Tom Ford? Yup, same guy. Apparently he can design clothes and make movies. His first film being A Single Man back in 2009, which got Colin Firth an Oscar nomination. Now Nocturnal Animals is his second film. I have not seen A Single Man, nor have I read the book that Nocturnal Animals is based off of, so this was my first exposure to what Ford could do as a film director. With the acting, I can say that it is all spectacular. Amy Adams is fabulous in this film as the art gallery director, who is essentially reading the book that is sent by her ex-husband, played by Jake Gyllenhaal, throughout this movie. Don't let that scare you off, as it's not a boring movie at all. Added with how Amy Adams' character is reacting to what she even reads with this manuscript. Jake Gyllenhaal is also just superb in this film. He has the task of playing a dual role where he plays the ex-husband of Amy Adams' character, but also is the main character himself in the book that he has written and Adams' character is reading. Both ways, you see similar echoes of his performance going in both interpretations of the story, which is added to how this movie is very metaphorical. In the story within the story of this movie, where it's the thriller that Amy Adams' character is reading, Aaron Taylor Johnson plays one of the hooligans who drives Jake Gyllenhaal's in-book character off the road and kidnaps his wife and daughter. He is terrifying in this movie. I could hardly recognize him half the time I was seeing his character because it was just unsettling to watch him. I believe this is Johnson's best performance I've seen from him to date. Michael Shannon is also noteworthy in this movie. He is phenomenal. He plays this deputy slash detective within the in-book story who helps Gyllenhaal's book character. He has a very gruff sentiment in what he is portraying with his character, in that he is really grizzled. Like, seriously, Shannon is so good in this movie. He deserves an Oscar nomination for Best Supporting Actor for this film. There are other supporting players in this movie to note too, such as Laura Linney, who plays Amy Adams' character's mom in one really great scene. Michael Sheen, Armie Hammer, plays the current husband of Amy Adams' character, Jenna Malone. Anyone who is in this film, whether they have a big or small part, really adds to the atmosphere that this movie creates. The story within this film is definitely a lot to take in, as it is told in 3 separate timelines. Now that may sound confusing at first, but this film is actually really easy to follow, especially with how seamless the transitions between each part of the story are told. The first and main story is Amy Adams' character reading this book sent by Jake Gyllenhaal's character. The second part of the story, which is pretty much the most compelling part, is the actual story within the book that is told on screen, with characters being played by Michael Shannon and Aaron Taylor Johnson. Then the third and the most minor storyline is flashbacks that we get with how Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal both first met and fell in love. Now, of course, the most intense parts happen within the in-book story, and even in the present day and flashback sequences, there is needed plot threads that are supposed to be given to us, as there are parallels between all 3 storylines to really show us who Amy Adams and Jake Gyllenhaal's characters really are. The style that Tom Ford also uses with his direction is really distinct. This is a unique movie that is wholesome in what it does with its visuals and its own personality. Right down to the opening title credits of this movie. And right off the bat from there, no words. This movie has cinematography that is gorgeous to see, the production design, the art direction, even minor details such as the fact that Tom Ford, on purpose, casted Isla Fisher as Jake Gyllenhaal's in-book character's wife to parallel Amy Adams' character in the present-day storyline. In real life, Amy Adams and Isla Fisher are often mistaken for one another, so Ford really caught on to that, and Tom Ford really knew what he was doing in bringing this film to life. And at about 2 hours, I was always within this movie. I would say that my only real issue with this movie is that I could tell Tom Ford was trying to be a little too on the nose in what he was trying to tell with his story. There were certain instances in the movie that had me going, okay, what was the purpose of that? I still have to say that Ford really did something in making me think about what the story even did, even with its conclusion, similarly to another movie starring Amy Adams this year, Arrival, one of my favorite movies of this year so far. With this ending, I know people are going to get pissed off by it because of how highly interpretive it will be within your mind. In fact, once the movie ended, I heard a woman behind me in the same auditorium as me yell, "Oh, that's just stupid!" That's going to be a lot of the reactions people have with this movie, but I think that it's going to age like a fine wine once you think about it more and more, kind of like Arrival 2, and that's what I really love taking away from movies like these. All in all, I will say that this film is astoundingly acted, beautifully disturbing, really engaging mentally, and it's very unique in its structure and its execution of what it wants to tell within its story. This movie's not going to be for everyone. For sure, it is not. Just from the opening sequence, once again, still can't get over that. Some things you just cannot unsee with movies, but also with the movie and how it is paced and what it is trying to tell. People are going to find it somewhat pretentious, slow, what have you, but if you go into this movie with an open mind, I guarantee you it will have you thinking a lot throughout and long after the movie has concluded. This is one of my favorite movies of the year thus far. I highly recommend it. My final verdict for Nocturnal Animals is 4.5 out of 5 stars. Thank you all, as always, for watching. Be sure to like this video, comment on what you thought of Nocturnal Animals, subscribe to my channel for more, and I'll catch you on the next movie review.